we go to an interesting guy next for the second make or break player, and a guy that you see on our opening and closing show credits, and a guy we really like, again, as a player too, but as a guy. He was very friendly, very cordial when he joined the team and joined the program. Cam Taylor-Britt has gone from ascending rookie to near Pro Bowl play in 2023, got hurt, and then all of a sudden last year it completely fell off a cliff. You had him benched, I think, at certain points. Against the Chargers, that was a game he was benched, and a couple of other times you're like, oh boy, he's not on the field here. And, there are some people that said, he had some other stuff happening in his personal life, maybe that maybe has, distracted him, that sort of thing. It happens, sometimes your personal life detracts from your professional life. We've all probably had that happen in one form or another. I don't want to speak for him. I don't even know how valid that is, but those are some of the rumors that are at least swirling around about Cam Taylor-Britt. But the fall from grace here is pretty crazy, John. Again, when he's making those diving catches, diving interceptions against the Seahawks and great play against the Chiefs, that sort of thing, you're like, hey, this is the next good corner that the Bengals have drafted, and he's got a bright future ahead. And then last year happens, and you go, what the hell happened? What happened here? And he looked lost on double moves. He was beaten deep a couple of times. The not so great safety play for most of the year also didn't help things. You had DJ Turner in and out of the lineup with injuries and that sort of thing. It was just a mess last year. And so now when you look at it, you go, okay, which Cam Taylor-Britt is going to show up this year? Is it going to be the guy that we saw in 2023 that was making all these great plays? Or is it going to be the guy that kind of seemed to be in Lou Anarumo's doghouse for most of last year? I don't really know. If I'm reading the tea leaves, if I'm reading the comments from guys like Joseph Osai and others when they rejoined the team this year, and it was kind of veiled shots at Lou Anarumo, it makes me a little bit optimistic that things will turn around for Cam Taylor-Britt. But at this point, it's really a question mark. And again, the Bengals showed a lot of faith in him because they did not invest heavily at the defensive back spot in general in free agency or the draft. And so now you go, okay, what's next for this guy? They seem to be pretty invested in DJ Turner, Cam Taylor-Britt as their corners. They like what they saw for the most part in Josh Newton last year. He's probably going to be a nickel back, dime back type of guy. So now you got Taylor-Britt. The Steelers now have DK Metcalf. Yes, they traded George Pickens away to the Cowboys, but DK Metcalf, there's history there with Cam Taylor-Britt and Metcalf. And you've got, Cleveland's been a bit of a problem, a thorn in the side for the Bengals last year, not really withstanding. And then, of course, Baltimore's put up points galore against the Bengals. So this is a big year for him as well in his career, whether he ends up, sticking long-term with the Cincinnati Bengals, becoming a solid, dependable corner, or if things are going to continue to deteriorate as they did last year.
He's such an interesting case because we all know the history with Lou Anarumo and rookies and young players in general. And for him to play as a rookie when called upon, like injuries kind of forced him on the field in the middle of 2022 with Chidobe Awuzie going down. But for him to kind of adapt as quickly as he did in a defense where young guys notoriously can't really adapt and get up to speed as quickly as they need to, for him to impress as a rookie under Anarumo was very eye-opening, I guess, in retrospect, looking back. And then to build on that in 2023, when you mentioned, obviously, the safety play has not been good last year or 2023, like he was still one of their best players on defense in 2023, a bad defense, I should say, but still looked the part and still looked to be ascending. And that's what makes 2024 as perplexing as it was. And you have to assume that it wasn't necessarily a lack of fit, but it was a lot of distractions. It was a lot of maybe things on his side of the situation where he just wasn't as locked in as he needed to be. And maybe being benched twice in 11 weeks really kind of set him on the right path, because he did play better along with a lot of other players on defense. He did play a lot better in that final month of the season when, things started to change and there was kind of more of an uprising with the players and whatnot. So it's such a weird career arc, especially knowing the context of this previous coaching staff on that side of the ball, and for him to play as well as he did as a young player, it all makes it very weird. But I think in general, the switch to Al Golden's defense, which is going to be a lot more aggressive, it's going to be a lot more man coverage. I think that fits his profile a lot better
Agreed.
because, like you
Agreed.
said, not the best off coverage guy, not the best just dropping back into zone. Just really good in terms of just staying with guys with his 4.3 speed, staying in the hip pocket, using his physicality. You'd like to see him be better against the run as well. I think that's where he shined a lot as a rookie, and it's kind of been kind of downhill ever since. But that's part of just kind of him just taking it seriously, right? There's nothing physically that he can't do within this defense, which is why he's going to be relied on. Even if he doesn't start, there's always going to be snaps to be had as like the fourth cornerback in the secondary. You see injuries happen every single year at the position. So whether or not he starts week 1, he's going to be on the field. He's going to have his chance to prove himself. And prove himself, he needs to, because cornerbacks can still get paid a lot, and he's still only 25 years old. He's going to be 26 in the middle of the season. So there's a chance for him to really make a case either for the Bengals or any other team that he's worth a hefty second contract, because guys who are that big with those ball skills, like, they're still really valuable. He just has to really just put it all together for a contract year. And we've seen in years past that contract years are all it takes for guys to really perform their best.
Already entering his 4th year, right? And there's been lots of twists and turns to his career, and high hopes for him for a while. And like you said, I mean, and Al Golden, we have to trust, and hopefully that this system and the old, let them rely on their instincts and not think too much type of thing. Maybe that's, I mean, how true that is, we'll see, but maybe that is what Golden's going to try and instill into this defense. And if so, I think Taylor-Britt, given his athletic background, he had a high RAS score, like you said, good speed. He's physical. He likes to do the, get his hands on you and get in. I mean, that's what frustrated Metcalf when they when they faced off. He was getting in on him, and he didn't like that. So when he's playing like that, he's one of the better corners in the league. When he is either thinking too much or head's not in the game or whatever the case may be, it's not good. Now, again, with the hopeful solidifying of other supporting cast members, now the safety group is going to be largely the same, unless, like you said, they take that Geno Stone money that they saved and maybe go put that in another player at the safety position. But again, you hope things solidify with Knight in the lineup. You got Burks. You have, the Barrett kid from Clemson and that sort of thing. Hopefully your pass rush on the other side of Trey Hendrickson, hopefully everything works out with Trey Hendrickson. But, when you have this rotation of guys now, and Stewart and Osai and, Sample and all these guys, hopefully that produces some more opportunities for Taylor-Britt to kind of have a little more confidence in himself and have confidence in what the other players are doing out there. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. I really, really like this guy. I've liked him since day one, but again, last year was just really, really rough, and I hope he can turn a corner.
A lot of moving pieces is an understatement. It's not just the schematic changes. It's also the personnel changes. It's also, like you said, hoping that a better pass rush can make the lives of these cornerbacks a lot easier, especially due to the fact that they're going to be playing an uptick in man coverage. And, I think a lot has been said about the differences between what Anarumo did and what Al Golden is going to do. I think kind of lensing from what the players have said, it's more or less like it was just too confusing in terms of when offenses were kind of in these pre-snap motions, and then you're confused about what your coverage rules are. So like maybe in pre-snap it's one thing, and then post-snap it's another. That's how you get so many coverage breakdowns, right? It's not just the post-snap communication. It's also just like, what are we supposed to do? And that clearly seemed to be too much. And I think it affected Taylor-Britt more than most players on that defense. So when you just have him in a scheme where he can just play relaxed, just focus on the guy in front of him, get your eyes turned back to the ball, like that's where he can shine. And that's why there could be a situation where, again, he may not start week 1, but he may prove to be the better option as the season goes on. And that would be great for him entering a very pivotal year.
Pivotal year, most definitely. And that is our second make or break player of the episode, 4th overall. If you like that series, we'll kind of keep continuing it. Hopefully we'll Look, when we do this, I don't want this to be always cast in a negative light on these players, right? I mean, I think when you say make or break, it's like, oh, pressure's on, you better perform. And yeah, that is true with what we're talking about. But it's not like we're hoping for these players to fail or that sort of thing. There have been glimpses, I think, for a lot of these guys. There have been glimpses of good play, and you go, okay, can you just be consistent? Can you keep it steady throughout the entirety of a season? And that's where the entire unit will improve, especially when we've done mostly defense to this point. I think 3 of the 4 guys, right, have been defense. So, that's kind of where our mindset is. But we're going to